Okay, we're just going to start off with the basics of the rig. Very, very simple. Just a short piece of copper wire, about 40 centimetres or so long, and a very small rubber O-ring or a grommet. Okay, you want that grommet or O-ring to match the size of the hook that it's going onto. So pretty small, you want it to be able to stretch. Okay, now all you got to do is just attach that rubber grommet on your copper wire with just a short twist. You don't want to make that twist much longer than maybe half a centimetre or a centimetre long. Just keep it nice and short. Okay, all you need for this rig is just a few things. It's very simple. Just your pre-made copper wire rig with the rubber grommet on there or O-ring. Nice sharp little bait knife. The bait needle potentially, not always needed but handy to have one. Just your small little bean sinkers or little ball sinkers. I like to use bean sinkers, they seem to fit underneath the gill plate a little bit better. Pair of snippers or cutters, and that's about it. And then of course just your circle hook rig on your piece of leader. Very simple, not much to it. So we just select our nice fresh garfish. You obviously want to get a bait that's as fresh and in good a condition as you can. Nice and shiny, bit of yellow on his tail. Okay, so remove the eyes out of each side, nice and cleanly take the eyes out. Now the next step, with your snippers, just cut just in front of his mouth, nice and square, but not too close. You want to leave a little bit of length there for your copper wire later on. Okay, next, just make a small incision back down at the bottom of his anal passage there. Okay, now this is very important. What you want to do is gently squeeze all the guts and the air out of its anal passage. Okay, now as you're doing this, you can feel all the air bubbles breaking, and sometimes the whole air sac will come out there as well. So that's very important. The air that's in its stomach will cause your bait to want to roll over and float up the other way, and that'll stop your bait from swimming properly. Okay, so before you even rigged it or put a hook on it, it's potential for that bait to be swimming not as good as it could be. But by removing that air, that's going to solve your problem. Just going to push the bait needle through the top of his head, basically right in the jaw hinge there on his top jaw. It seems to want to go through there nice and easy. Now next, with your pre-made copper wire rig, that wire just goes straight down the same way as the needle went. Okay, and you just pull your copper wire and you twist down so that your O-ring's sitting in place. Okay, so we're going to make a swimming rig. So all we do here is just add a bit of lead, whether it be a bean sinker or a ball sinker, it doesn't really matter too much. Okay, so what we do from there is bring that copper wire down underneath the back of his gills, over the top of his head, and back down the other side in behind that gill as well. Okay, that brings the copper wire back out where your sinker was. Okay, so from here, straight through his eyes, a full turn. Now you want to pull your copper wire snug but not too tight. If you pull it too tight, it ends up just deforming his head. Okay, so a full turn behind the sinker, and then come in front of the sinker, back through his eyes, and a full turn that way as well. The reason for that is that's securing your lead in place, and it makes it all nice and snug and it doesn't want to move too much. Okay, from here, coming out of his eyes, going over the top of his head, in front of your copper O-ring or your O-ring there where it comes in. The reason for that...
Can you hold that up to the camera, like, so we can see it better?
The reason for that is it just helps when you're towing it or you get a bite. It's just stopping that copper wire ripping through your hole that you've made. Just gives it a bit of support. So back through his eyes again once you've done that. Okay, and I just go back in front of the sinker again, one more full turn. Okay.
Then we come up to his nose.
come back up once again in front and just start wrapping it round his beak, and this keeps his mouth shut and just finishes off your rig. So you're just wrapping that copper wire around his beak. Okay.
As you can see, the O-ring is facing the same direction as the eyes, outward.
Yep. The reason for that is once we get our rig with our circle hook on it, whether it be snelled on or just crimped on, tied on, whichever you like, but that your circle hook just goes straight through that O-ring, and that's your rig done.
And you've got your hook facing the way it needs to face.
Yep. Now if you have any troubles with it swimming, or it does want to swim on his side a little bit, because your copper wire is keeping your sinker relatively rigid, all you have to do is just move your sinker left or right to try and counteract the way he's swimming, and that'll get him swimming straight as, no worries.
And can you do this rig with other baits besides?
Well, I've done it with mullet, works good on mullet, works fantastic with yakkers, gobbers like chub mackerels, slimy mackerels would be fine. We've even used it on the big scad for heavy tackle rig. So yep, anything basically that you want to use for a bait, with a little bit of imagination maybe, but you'll get that bait to swim perfectly with that rig. It's very simple, very quick, very easy.
Thanks, Luke.